Welcome to Nonprofit Stories, inspiring tales from Silicon Valley. We will explore the transformative work of nonprofit organizations and leaders who are changing our community by tackling some of the most pressing issues facing Silicon Valley. So without further ado, let's dive into this exciting conversation. Today, we welcome Didi Kiso, an internationally recognized speaker, coach, advisor, author, and auctioneer in Silicon Valley. Her mission is to empower fundraisers, entrepreneurs, volunteers, and organizational leaders with the transformative skills and mindset necessary for successful fundraising. Thank you to our sponsor, TradeMyHome.com, for their community commitment and for making this podcast possible. Silicon Valley's nonprofit landscape is marked by intense competition and technological challenges. With over 2,000 registered organizations, only 10% manage to secure the majority of grants and donations, highlighting a fierce battle for funding. Compounding this issue is that 40% of these nonprofits, despite being in a renowned tech hub, need more resources or expertise to utilize digital tools for fundraising and engaging donors effectively. Additionally, around 60% rely on a single funding source, significantly heightening their risk of financial instability.
Didi, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a delight to be here.
Absolutely. Give us a brief background about yourself. Who do you serve and how did it all begin?
Well, thank you. I'm actually a fifth-generation Santa Clara Valley native. I have 3 children, and they're all young adults now, all educated here as well. And I graduated from San Jose State University, and even at San Jose State, I started doing fundraising and community development when I was there. I've had a lifelong love for doing things for the community. And so how it got started was I also tend to love sales. And so I was a top salesperson in a major corporation, and we were always out of inventory. And I thought, what could I do where I could go full speed and never run out of inventory? You never run out of inventory when it comes to goodwill and what you can do for other people. And that would be nonprofit development. So started a few nonprofits, raised lots of money the hard way for 20 years, walking in the shoes of people who do it the hard way. You know, and you join many organizations and think you're learning how to raise money. But then I met a woman named Kathy Kingston, and it changed everything for me because she wrote the book on the one-to-many ask on how you would have people come into a room and be educated and given an opportunity to make a joyful gift, and not only have just this event, but also do fundraising in a multifaceted way to raise the most money. And I was absolutely hooked. She insisted I quit my full-time job and come to work in the industry, and everything changed then.
Can you briefly describe your unique approach to fundraising?
I can. You know, being in sales and knowing that there is an offer for a person that you want to find a right fit and have a perfect sale, I think that's what's unique about my approach to fundraising, that it's not fearful. It's reaching out and finding your right fit with a joyful ask. And we don't worry when it's not a fit and somebody says no. So I call it the Chicken Little versus Paul Revere. You know, are you afraid to ask for money? Are you fearful? Do you have stress, anxiety? Or are you more of a Paul Revere individual where you believe in the cause and you're going to go out and tell the world in an evangelistic style and welcome people to make a joyful gift to create prosperity for the organization and those they serve?
What is the core principle behind your 6-figure fundraising method, and how does it absolutely guarantee success?
Well, the 6-figure fundraising framework method absolutely works. And it comes from my 20 years plus of working in nonprofits and knowing exactly how you can go wrong in the nonprofit industry when you're raising money. Additionally, this is also derived from the National Auctioneers Association and the Training and Benefit Auctioneer Specialists. And what are the steps that we know that can guarantee results? So, for instance, a couple of the steps I'll tell you about is ideating the very best outcome. The outcome beyond just let's raise $50,000, and if we raise $55,000, we did a great job. let's shoot for 100 or 150.
Right.
We need to look before the event and look at sponsors and opportunities to bring strategic partners in. We don't want to throw a party and cross our fingers and hope we raise money.
Right.
So the next couple of steps are about getting the right people and also telling the right story of transformation. We don't want a sad sob story that we're going to be out of business if you don't give money.
Right.
We want to bring people an opportunity to invest in beautiful outcomes that elevate our people, places, pets, and all that we serve. And then finally, we actually ask and invite joyful giving in the moment. And then I always believe the most important is when that event is over, the donor development and cultivation is an opportunity now to take you into the future with lifetime donors rather than to have what statistics tell us 72% are out after their first gift, and you have to go out and reinvent the wheel. So the six-figure fundraising process, it looks at everything so you can scale and repeat and raise more money every year, as well as bringing in lifetime donors.
And how do you balance the focus on return on investment and return on donor experience in your strategies?
That is a great question, and I'll tell you why. So many organizations want to look at their fundraising events or galas as parties. They want entertainment and decorations, and they're going to spend so much money that when you go at the very end and you're looking at gross versus net, a lot of money may have gone in an area that you had no return on investment whatsoever. There's one return on investment that you can always get your money back, or you had better, and that is the person you're investing in to ask for the money. But finally, to put yourself in the shoes of the donors and imagine the experience they're having. What are they thinking? What are they taking away at the end of the event? What are they talking about in the car on the way home? And let's hope that the return on investment will bring you lots of money, but the return on experience will turn those donors into evangelists and people who are going to tell others about your cause.
And why do you place such a high emphasis on donor appreciation?
Donor appreciation is key to having a lifetime donor. Imagine that, you're a kid and you get a Christmas gift or birthday gifts every year from, Aunt Em, and she never gets thanked. I mean, how does she feel? That's how our donors feel. So I've always thought of my donors when I was working in nonprofits as relatives. This is a relative, and how would I treat them to know that they've been appreciated, that hard-earned gift came that they could have spent anywhere else in the world, but they chose to invest it with us for the work we do. And we need to let them know that their gift is appreciated, so they have the opportunity to know how their money's spent. And treating them, I believe, like a relative you really love will keep them attached to your donor family.
So what are some of the key elements of a fundraising event that not just make it successful, but also make the donors happy and appreciated?
That's another great question. And a lot of it goes back to the question that we just answered about donor appreciation. Putting yourself in the donor's shoes. Imagine walking in and what are they seeing? And have you spent too much money on decorations? What are they going to be thinking? So we want to look at the profiles of the individuals who are going to come to the event. Some people, like to get something for nothing. So that's kind of your silent auction. But since we're really looking at return on investment, we're going to focus more on not the bargain hunters, but people who might like to buy a raffle ticket. If you do your raffle correctly, and you don't need to spend a dime on a raffle item, but you want people to spend lots of dimes and dollars on the raffle tickets. So everybody has an opportunity to win. Then we have the competitive bidder. Do you have a live auction items that are unique to your cause so you can allow these people to have an enjoyable time raising money in the way they like to give, and that is winning an item, being the biggest bidder. And then finally, the very best way to raise money at these events is to really tell the transformation, the change that you provide for hurting individuals and for the planet, for animals, whoever it is you serve. How is a joyful gift for them in the audience going to change everything? And then we offer them opportunities to give at joyful levels that match their heart at that time. And there you see, we have something for everyone.
Can you explain the concept of monetize your minutes from your book?
Yes, it's actually a 3-step process. First, we're going to create a show flow by the minute and create the entire fundraising event with all the episodes that we want to cover, the chapters of the evening that we can raise money in. Then the second step is we're going to execute it according to that strategic plan. We're not going to cross our fingers and throw a party. We actually have a strategy for each of those minutes. And then when we execute it during that time, for instance, there'll be 30 minutes of raffle, and maybe there's 45 minutes of another opportunity to raise money. Then we look at the live auction. I may have sold 3 or 4 items, $90,000 in the first 2 minutes, $45,000 in the second minutes, and maybe $2,500 in the third set of 2 minutes. We can go back and look at by the minute how many dollars per minute we raised. And then that's the analysis we do in the post-event by going back and looking how it was executed and the dollars per minute we raised. This is very important data for next year's event.
A typical problem homeowners have when wanting to buy a new home is whether to sell first or buy first. Either way is risky. When ready to look for a new home, TradeMyHome.com, powered by Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, offers an upfront guaranteed cash offer on your current home. Are you moving in the next 3 to 6 months? Text PAIR to 408-740-7400 for a free and no obligation professional equity appraisal report, exclusively for Nonprofit Stories podcast viewers. For more information, visit TradeMyHome.com or call 408-740-7400. Remember, at TradeMyHome.com, your home is sold guaranteed or we'll buy it. For the next episode of Nonprofit Stories, featuring Julie Hutchison and Alice Kaufman from Green Foothills of Silicon Valley.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm the Policy and Advocacy Director for Green Foothills.
I am the Executive Director. I've been with the organization 12 years,
Their mission is to protect the open space, farmland, and natural resources of San Mateo and Santa Clara counties for the benefit of all through advocacy, education, and grassroots action.
Through our advocacy to help protect the open space, farmland, and natural resources in our area, according to what we do.
Check out our next full episode on Wednesday at 5 o'clock Pacific and 8 o'clock Eastern on YouTube and Apple Podcast.
And how do you ensure that a successful event is not just a one-time wonder, but it can be scaled and it can be repeated?
Well, the most important is to have a strategy for before, during, and after the event, so you can have measurable results, so you'll know what to do to increase those results and to make it scalable and repeatable. Some things you'll want to do again, some things you won't. But the one thing that you must always invest your money in is the right person asking for the money. I used to do radio and TV, and I thought I was great on the microphone and talking, which I was. But I knew nothing about asking for money, doing an auction, having the right chant, the voice inflection, knowing the rules in different states, requirements. It is very complicated, and it's taken me years to get to the level where I am now, to raise 6 figures in an event and know how far I can go, being respectful, using the right tonality, keeping the cause of the organization front and center.
Right.
And it's never about me. I am an evangelist for their cause that the night that I take that microphone, so I must have a passion for what they do as well, so I can be authentic and true when I speak and offer opportunities to support the cause.
What strategies do you recommend for maximizing lifetime donor value?
Let me answer that by first telling you about lapsed donor value. I worked in an organization where I came in on my first days, they'd given me a list of lapsed donors, and these are people who weren't thanked or somehow felt disenfranchised and had stopped giving. And I decided that I would go in and look at each one and look at their lifetime donor value going back to their first gift. And I added these up, and some of them were $300,000, $400,000. These were people who just needed to be touched and reached out to. But do you see how their lifetime donor value added up? That there was an amount of money they gave over and over again over a mass of years, and the value of an individual is a lifetime donor value. Well, I think that's the number one thing nonprofits are getting wrong, is looking at collecting money and looking at the bottom line at the end of the month and not looking 3 to 5 years ahead and imagining that you could be a donor that could really make a huge difference. So it is absolutely donor appreciation. And, for so long, the best practice has been this donor pyramid where the people at the top, there's a fewer amount there, but they give the most money.
Right.
I think we should do it opposite. I think you take that lifetime donor value, flip it upside down, and spend more time on your new, smaller donors and allow them to grow. The people who are giving you the most money don't need the most attention. They already love you. And if they are respected and kept in the loop, they're going to continue to give. But if you want to grow lifetime donor value, you're going to have to increase the amount that some of these smaller givers are giving. You want to keep them giving longer and more frequently.
How do you get everybody in the organization on board with your fundraising approach?
Well, it isn't easy all the time. And in order to get everyone on board, you want everyone knowing that the work they do is for the outcome that you serve. It is so important to have onboarding meetings or kickoff meetings for events so everybody can see how important they are to the success and how they can give in a meaningful and joyful way with their time and talent.
Can you share how post-event analysis contribute to the success of future fundraising events?
Absolutely. There's so many things to go back and look at, but one of the ones that are overlooked so often are the people coming to the event. So if you were to go in and look at every bid card, every seat, see what every individual brought in, there are several that will have given nothing. They need to be released. So those board members and the people bringing the new faces to your organization can replace those seats with givers or new people who are interested in the cause. You see, I see seats like real estate, and we don't want to leave them empty or have the wrong people in them because there's a complete loss of income. It is zero. And so let's get the right buyers in the seats so we can maximize. And this is something you can improve and look at year after year after year.
How do you tailor your strategies to fit the unique needs of different organizations?
I like to start with how they did the year before or the 2 or 3 years before so we can see exactly where they might be missing the mark for our improvement. I had one that was very interesting. They hired me to come in and they'd only raised $30,000 their first year. And this is what they had normally raised. And the strategy to work with them was quite different than a group that I would have worked with for many, many years. So the strategy for them was to change 3 dials instead of just 1. And for instance, we changed their silent auction. We changed the way they were asking for money. They were having everybody go to the center of the floor to give their money, and I knew that would be the worst way to ask for mass money. So the strategy for the first 2 things were immediately changed. And then a third one was letting people come for free to the event. So then they had a lot of party goers and not people who were serious about the organization, when the real reason for having the event was to raise money for everybody, to lift all the boats at that school. And that strategy worked because the first year we took it to $67,000. We knew exactly at that event what I needed to do to take it to the next level. That was $128,000. And the following year, we went to $160,000. 60, and then I believe our fourth year we raised 180,000. So that's what I like to see, knowing what it is we need to do,
Right.
and everybody's different. So it takes that number analysis to really determine which of my tools I'm going to use.
What changes do you foresee in the future of fundraising and donor engagement?
You know, we are living in such a volatile time. It's really hard to make predictions in the future. But I do see a lot more digital fundraising happening, social media kind of fundraising, and this is going to stay transactional if we don't have a way to reach out and connect with these donors. Also, women. Women are rising up in the workforce. Women are going to control 2/3 of the wealth in the U.S. and Canada
Right.
by 2028, and I'm seeing all over the board at every event, women are leading in the live auction, which they never did before. They're standing up, they're giving large sums of money. And it is believed now that women actually influence 82% of all gifts to nonprofit organizations. So keeping in mind this information, you will be prepared to hit it out of the ballpark in the future.
What one piece of advice will you give to nonprofits who are in need for fundraising?
You know, everything changed for me when I started working with mentors and people who knew a lot more than I did about the work I did. So I would say, hire a mentor, hire a fundraising coach, somebody who can understand your organization and elevate you with your skills, because you can't learn to swim by reading a book. You need someone, and the ideal person to help you is someone who has absolutely maximized it in the field. Someone who's several steps ahead of you, not just a half step. And this is going to pour into you the skills and the self-confidence and the mindset to be a hit it out of the ballpark fundraiser.
And what makes you the top auctioneer in the world?
Well, thank you for that. I am professionally trained in radio and TV, so I know how to speak. I've been to auction school, which so many people are skipping that step. But I'll tell you what I learned about the chant, the talk, the reading the people, all of these things behind the scenes that I never knew in the nonprofit world that the auction industry had already figured out for me. And when I started using these, I was able to take my first client who had raised $33,000 and spent $47,000.
Wow.
The next year they hired me, we raised $201,000 and spent less money. And that all came from the benefit auctioneer courses I took with the Auctioneers Association. I also speak there, and I coach auctioneers as well as I coach and do asking courses for nonprofits. So it's my passion. I've got 30 years of it now, and I'm ready to reach out and help you.
Didi, thank you so much for your time today. Keep up the great work, and let's stay in touch.
Sharad, thank you so much for the work you do and investing in information for nonprofit organizations. They're all going to be better for it.
Thank you for listening to the podcast and acknowledging the impactful work of nonprofits in Silicon Valley. Please subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Thank you to our sponsor, TradeMyHome.com, for their community commitment and for making this podcast possible. Until next time, remember to support local nonprofits.